Just let your soul glow.
Welcome to the Soul Shift Sessions podcast, where we dive deep into transformative conversations that empower you to elevate your mindset, break through limitations, and create the life you truly desire.
Hosted by Coach Sapphire, Starr, and Coach McCloud, this podcast is your go-to source for actionable insights, inspiring stories, and expert advice on personal growth, financial freedom, and living with purpose.
Each episode is designed to help you shift your mindset, overcome obstacles, and embrace a life of abundance and fulfillment. Whether you're looking to transform your relationship with money, enhance your well-being, or unlock your full potential, the Soul Shift Sessions will guide you on your journey.
Welcome to another episode of Soul Shift Session Podcast, where we have deep, transformative conversations to help you transform your mind, to transform your life. I am your favorite freedom and financial life coach, Coach Sapphire Starr, and I have my favorite co-host with me, Coach
McCloud.
Yes, and we are so excited to come to you today to talk about what we're going to talk about. But before we get to the conversation, if you want to be a part of the Soul Shift Session tribe of soul shifters, please make sure you go to www.soulshiftsessions.com and join the conversation. Coach Kyle, what are we talking about today?
Today, we're talking about releasing what no longer serves you. Now, the thing about this particular topic is you have to be able to identify what's no longer serving you. Because if you can't identify, how are you gonna release it if you don't know what it is?
That is a great point. And on top of that, being realistic about what's not serving you, because for those that do know and ignore it because of whatever reason you're holding on to it, having the courage to be like, ugh, I know this doesn't serve me, identifying it,
Yeah.
and be like, then letting it go. But how do we get to that point of identifying what no longer serves us?
I think the first thing we have to look at is what makes us feel bad. And what I mean by that is there are certain things that have been put on us from society, from our own culture, down to our household. Like, you were born without beliefs. And then as you started to grow, you were programmed by your family, by the outside world, by society, by culture, by the overarching human race that you live in. So you're being programmed with all these different things. And then on top of that, when something doesn't go the way you expect it to, or you feel a certain way as a result of something, case in point, mom and dad are having a baby and you were the only child for all this time, right? Now you got to make sense of that. Like, is it some people might say, hey, I have been wanting a brother and sister, so I'm finally getting one. Whereas somebody else might be like, well, what was wrong with me? Why you need this one? And so when those type of thoughts happen, now your mind has to reconcile all that and create a whole new layer and a whole new way of looking at things. And so at the start, as you're growing, you have all this stuff happening. And now here you and I come talk about some releasing what doesn't serve you. Sir and ma'am, I have been programmed for 30, 40 years with all this stuff. So
Conditioning.
it's conditioning. And so this is why I say the first thing we got to do is look at the emotional side of things. Is that thing making you upset? Is that belief, which is just a thought we keep thinking, is that belief making you feel a certain kind of way? And then if it is that a belief that is making, we'll use guilt for a moment.
Okay.
Is that belief making you feel guilty because of preconditioning? Or is this you operating outside of your own integrity, outside of the things that you know to be true for you? And so, go ahead.
Does it have to be something that's bad?
As far as not serving you, well, maybe we should say none of it is good or bad. How about we start with that?
Oh, yeah, because I was like, that kind of like,
Well, the thing is, though, your emotions is your guidance system, right? And so,
for sure,
this is
for
why
sure.
I look at
Like,
that. I look at the emotions first because that's going to be my guidance system. Do I feel empowered or do I feel disempowered? And if I'm feeling
right.
disempowered, is it because I've got a judgment about me? Is it because I have a judgment that I got from somewhere else about me?
Yeah.
And then the thing is, there are certain things that we do that at one time served us,
Yeah.
but don't serve us anymore, right? Because there was a time where I protected myself by being invisible because I was in a hostile environment Monday through Friday when I was in high school. So going into the inner city of North New Jersey and seeing someone get jumped on my first day of the next 6 years, like that was traumatic enough for me to make a decision called, I don't even want to be seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I go to college, I become an adult. I'm not in a hostile environment anymore. And yet I'm still carrying those behaviors that are consistent with the belief that I created when I was 11.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's a survival thing. But then when do you, like you say, when do you realize or identify that, wait a minute, I did that because of this? That particular stimulus or event is no longer present, even though I've been operating in.
Yeah.
I no longer have to, that no longer serve me to behave in that way because that is no longer the environment that I'm in. So it could be something that's, this is something that's no longer working or even necessary
Right.
for me to continue in the framework that I am living my life now. I think about an example for me, and this is speaking to what you were talking about in school, being a teen mom, a single mom, just hustling, grinding, just surviving from the age of 13, working since I've been 14.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't, and I'm going to high school, I'm working jobs, I'm going to school, taking care of my daughter, hustle, 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 hustle. Graduate college, 2 degrees. Now I'm in a career. I'm still hustle, 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 hustle. I'm still in that mindset of survival. It wasn't until someone, I would say I was in my mid 30s. No, I was in my late 20s. Someone was like, "You do realize you're okay, right?"
And you're like, what you mean? What you mean?
What you mean? Like, it never crossed my mind to sit back and say, kind of like you've arrived.
Yeah.
My brain was still wired in such a way that I need to hustle, I need to grind, I need to work because I don't want to struggle. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be poor. And that's what kept me in a scarcity mindset, even though the evidence of abundance was clear as
Right.
day. But
Because
that
it
mind
can all go away. It can all go away.
scarce, instead of feeling like more can come to me.
Yeah.
And that's what someone in my late 20s made that. And it allowed me to become aware, like you said, of, oh, this way of thinking, this way of behaving
Yeah.
no longer serves me because I'm no longer in that environment and conditioning that I'm in.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to shift my mindset from chasing
Yeah.
to now attracting, which is a very, very different energy.
It's different. It's different. It's very different.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you say chasing, though, like, I don't think people really understand how deep that word is, because there is chasing after finances, right? There's that. There's chasing after that wholeness, that feeling of I'm worthy. So chasing that.
Mm.
Then there's the chasing the love that we so desired that we didn't get when we were traumatized.
Oh, yeah.
There's chasing that level of vulnerability that you so deeply want but are scared to actually pursue because you've been heartbroken before. Right? There's
Mm,
chasing is all around. It ain't just finances.
yeah.
Chasing
It's
that
every aspect.
I don't want to be like, right? Like, I don't want to be
Oh,
like my dad. So now you chasing things so that you don't look like your dad. It's a very, very deep word.
very deep. And sometimes, like you were saying, what you pose the question of, okay, releasing what no longer serves you, but how do you even identify that or realize that? In that particular instance, for me, it took someone in my tribe, it took
Mm,
someone in my community to help me see things that no longer serve me or behaviors that didn't serve me. And so that's one way
yeah.
that someone having, surrounding yourself with like-minded people that can help you, that supports you, that is rooting for you,
And
that
not
encourage you.
afraid to tell you what the
Yeah.
deal is.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, granted, there are people like you have a larger tribe than I do. And I'm a little bit envious, a little jealous, right? But y'all kind of let me in. Like, y'all kind of let me in and hang out with y'all for a little bit. But I'm very clear that that y'all are a specific kind of tribe. So I don't mind. I can be envious,
Yeah,
joyfully envious, right? But
joyfully.
I would not be surprised that if one member said something to you that landed home, that if another member said the same thing, it may not land as hard. So,
Mm,
people have different levels of being able to contribute to you. I used to,
yes.
when I would facilitate courses, I would ask my participants, what's the difference between someone who has like your utmost respect and whatever they say, you could take it to the bank. But then someone else could say the exact same words, verbatim with the same tone. And you're like, they can't look, you can't talk to me because of right? So what's the
Right, it's
difference
the
between
respect. I think the difference is the respect.
I would offer
The
up that although that may be true, I'm not denying that there is a deeper thing that you gave. You may have given it verbally, or you may not have given it verbally at all, but you still gave it. And I'm not going to make you go through the ringer like I do my participants, because I will run them like they will play the guessing game for a good 30 seconds. I'm like, although that may be true, that's not it.
right.
Right. So the thing is that the one person has that the other doesn't is permission. They have permission to contribute to you in a certain kind of way, whereas the other person does not have that level of permission. So no matter what they say, it's going to bounce off of you because they don't have it. Even because
Yes.
the advice is the advice, it's the same advice. Well, who the
Yeah,
sender is.
respect. 'Cause I feel like I feel like you have to give permission, right? And what is that based on? What is your prerequisite to allow someone to be able to communicate or share something with you that you're more amped to receive
Yeah.
versus someone else. It's also your ability to receive what they're saying, because like you said, if it's the same advice, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
But also feeling the sense of familiarity, like maybe you feel like this person, you don't know me,
Right.
versus someone you feel like is qualified to make that suggest or advice to you because you feel like they know you better and can give you that advice.
I'll
Like when we
offer up one.
assume,
I'm not saying that's not true because I do agree with everything you're saying, but I will offer up that there
yeah,
are people who you might see them on social media. You've never been to this account before, but deep down inside, whatever this person's saying, you know that it is resonating within you is a truth for you. And I would offer up
yeah,
that there is a level of credibility that the person has that you recognize immediately. And I think
mm,
that could be the difference between, like, if my father had given me the same advice that you had given me in regards to, we'll just say real estate. Okay. My dad was big into real estate, but he wasn't any good at real estate. Okay. So there's a level of credibility that you have that if you say it, I'm like, all right, well, that clearly must be the truth because she's got the credibility. Whereas my dad, not only did he not have the credibility, he would say stuff that was false, that I knew was false, right? Because I did mortgages, right? But
right,
you can't tell me from a real estate and mortgage perspective something that has to do with those things where I'm knowledgeable of mortgages and know that that's not right,
yeah,
which
absolutely,
destroys the
absolutely,
credibility even more, right? So when you
yeah.
give out bad information and try to stand on that information like it's law, credibility drops.
It drops significantly. Yes, and there needs to be evidence of something because, I mean, you think about banks, right? I'm a financial life coach, and I always tell people the importance of credit and how it's tied to your credibility. That's essentially what your credit report is
Yeah,
because this bank doesn't know you.
yeah,
So they need to see evidence. They need to see something that shows your behavior when it comes to credit, lending, borrowing,
yeah,
spending. They need to see a track record of that
yeah,
because they don't know you. So, okay, if you can provide the evidence of your credibility, then we're more likely to approve you or not approve you based on the evidence of that credibility.
yeah,
So, expressing the importance of, but not just your finance, but also in your life. People need to see before I give you permission, before I give you respect, whatever I'm giving
yeah,
you, I need to see evidence that you are a credible
yeah,
person, that I can respect what you're saying, because if you don't have any experience in it, like I said, you don't have the credibility. I'm like,
yeah,
even though you may be saying it, my thing is, where's that coming
yeah.
from?
You know, there are times where I am very clear that I could have cited my credibility, but it was never fun for me to say like my background and the certifications that I had. So, and I'm thinking in particular of when I was traveling the country teaching Microsoft Excel. So I go to
Mhm.
this hotel and I'd set up the room and I'd have all kinds of stuff going on that I'm purposely doing, the one that I know that other trainers are not doing. And two, there's this feeling that I'm trying to create. Because if you think about it, you're in the car, you're headed to this hotel to learn about Microsoft Excel. I'd rather get an ice pick and stab my own self in the eye, right? So
Yeah.
I'm aware of this. So I am setting up a whole atmosphere for when they come, right? They've got their books there. They've got they hear music playing. And if I was really hooked up, like through the sound system of the hotel room, if I had that going, they would hear like old school R&B, like Papa was a Rolling Stone, they'd hear like the Jackson 5, like they'd hear stuff that makes their not so much their anxiety, because I don't think people were experiencing anxiety, but I think that they came in with this mindset of this is gonna suck.
Yes.
But then when you hear this music, well, it may not suck that bad because at least there's good music in the room, right? So I've already ticked off that box. And when I start, I wouldn't say my name. I wouldn't say what I did. I wouldn't say why I belonged in front of the room. And this would be the same way I'd start, whether there was 5 people or 100 people. And I've had it all the way in between. And I would start off that way where I would just ask them a question. And I say, how many of you have ever made a chart in Excel? And like a whole bunch of hands go up. And then I'd say, how long does it take for you to make a chart? And they will like say 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. And they're shouting out how long it takes. And then I would say, so would you all agree that a chart is just a visual representation of whatever the data is? Everybody agrees. And so I will pick one person at this point and ask them about what they see on the screen. By the way, no one had computers. It's just me with a computer in a seminar format, right? And so I would go back and forth with this person. I say, so if I showed you how to create a chart by pressing one key after selecting the data, that would be valuable to you. Mind you, I'm doing it while I'm talking to them. So they go from seeing data to seeing this chart show up, and it happens like that in seconds. I have had people that when they saw that demonstration, they're like, you know what? I don't think I need anything else today. I'm good. Because they instantaneously, they see that they have saved. If you said an hour and I've taken your hour and reduced it to seconds,
Yeah.
that takes my credibility and shoots it through the roof. Now you no longer care about my name. You don't even care about my credentials because I just helped you do
You
something.
demonstrated.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
in a quick demo in seconds, I have established credibility. And so they don't care that my certifications were 10 years old at that point because I have shown
Mhm.
myself that whatever question that you might have, I most likely have the answer.
Yes. Because you've demonstrated that for sure.
In just
Yeah.
one little instance, and it also lets people know, like, all right, well, if I have saved an hour in the first 5 minutes of class, what's the rest of the day going to look like? Now they are setting the tone of the expectation for the rest of the day.
Mm, that is powerful. And when you think about releasing what no longer serve you, I'm of the mindset, especially as we head into the new year,
Yeah.
I am of the mindset of things that we should be doing to set ourselves up for success for the New Year's. And a big part of that for me and most people when it comes to New Year's resolution is goal setting. And when I set a goal and I create a plan of action,
Yeah.
execute that goal,
Yeah.
for me, when I reflect back, I can say, okay, this is what I set. This is the measure of it. Is it working?
Yeah.
Because then you know what? If it's not working based on the goal, the plan of action, the timeline, the SMART goals,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Specific, measurable,
Measurable.
attainable, time bound, then I can say, you know what? This is no longer serving me in the capacity that I desire.
Yeah.
And so that's taking the power as well, because a lot of times we could be reduced
Yeah.
to things that are happening in our life when it comes to releasing what no longer serves us. But let's think about on the other side of the coin, how can we be proactive and say, okay, I'm taking the power back.
Mhm.
I'm reclaiming what is mine and identifying what I want to happen, how I want it to happen, and when I want it to happen. If it doesn't,
Yeah.
having the courage, having the wherewithal, having the keen sense to say, you know what, this isn't working. And we talked about that as one of our early podcasts where
Yeah.
we talked about pivoting.
Pivoting.
And that's what pivoting
It's
is
all about.
about. It's about having a strategy, and if it's not working,
Yeah.
shifting to a new strategy.
All right. I have a question for you. And I don't know if this question is I don't know how it's gonna go, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Okay. First of all, one thing that you say in the green room, and you'll say like when we get together, especially like if we're partying, is you will acknowledge the air sign of us, right? How we're air
Yes.
signs. And
Yes.
so now my question is twofold. For the people who
Okay.
have a challenge with just even going down the road of setting a goal, is that air related? And two, what would be the advice that you would give to people who they like setting goals does not resonate, but maybe there's an alternative for them?
Okay. First of all, setting goals is as far from air signs as you can put it.
No, I mean,
Like,
not setting the goals is air signage. I'm asking.
oh, not setting the goal is
Right.
air
Like
signage.
not setting goals.
I thought
Right.
you were saying, okay, I thought you were saying goal setting,
Right.
air
No, no,
go
no, no,
together.
no, no,
No,
no. If I said it
no, no,
that way,
no.
that's not what I meant. What I meant was, is not setting goals and goals not resonating, is that air signedness.
It's air sign is, but I wouldn't relegate it to a personality per se, because
Okay.
when we talk about sun signs, we're talking about people's personality, even though that could be a component of someone's personality. If they're a free spirited person, they're kind of fly at the seat of their pants type of
Yeah.
person, they're not organized per se. So
Yes.
those are characteristics that can sometimes come along with an air sign personality. So that may not necessarily be the first thing you think of is, oh, setting a goal. And not only setting a goal, but then creating a plan of action and executing that
Right. Like
goal.
we might set the
So I
goal, but
do,
we may not set the plan.
yes, exactly, exactly. So I believe everyone has the ability to set a goal, even if it's something that's not natural for you,
Yeah.
but it is something that you can learn.
Mhm.
You can develop this habit if this is the habit that will get you to your goals
Yeah.
or get you to success.
Yeah.
And so when I'm teaching my clients, when I'm sharing with my clients, I always begin with mindset, and the next thing is goal setting. I don't assume they know how to set a goal and create smart goals, but this is something that I teach. For some is second nature. They can knock it out.
Yeah.
Okay, I got my goals. Here you go. I got my plan of action. And they actually execute, because there's levels to this goal setting.
Absolutely.
It's not just write a goal. It's not just plan. You actually have to execute these things.
Yeah.
And so this is something that I teach, and not everybody has the ability to pick up on it, but I do believe everybody can do it, whether learn or whether it's something innate in you or something that you have to develop over time. Now, what was the other part?
Well, technically you're kind of answering it, but the other part was, if goal setting doesn't resonate,
Mm,
is there an alternative or maybe something in between where you are in in the leading up to setting goals? I have my own idea about it, but I wanted to pick your brain about it first. So
yes.
go ahead.
Yes. If we're talking semantics, are we talking semantics when it comes to goals, setting a
I don't
goal?
know. I don't know. I just
Could be. Some people could get caught up in the semantics of it, like, oh my God, goal setting. I don't,
right.
right?
Right.
Ah, right?
Yeah.
But I am of a firm belief, and this is me personally, I'm a firm belief. If you want to see something happen in your life,
Mhm.
again, you have to take the power and you have the ability to make it happen. But you also have to be very clear about what it is that you want.
Very good.
How do you identify what it is that Cal wants?
Yeah.
And then we can call that whatever you want to call that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But how do you identify what that is? Once you identify what I want in life, because I am the captain of this ship, I am control of my life. I have the power to attract the very things that I want. But if I don't know what it is I want, you're going to attract that. You're going to attract
Let me tell
everything
you.
but what you want.
There you go. There you go. Okay. There you go. Because the key thing that in what you said is the identifying of what you want. Because I have two friends I'm thinking of in particular that one of them did not set a goal, but she did write an intention. She wrote a whole
Okay.
list of intentions, didn't put dates on or anything, didn't know how they were going to come about, but she was like, I want to buy a building. And not too much longer later, the opportunity presented itself for her to buy the building, and it was fully occupied as well. So she was getting this building with rent coming in. And then
Cash flow.
I have another one who she wanted to buy a building, but she wanted it to happen under certain circumstances. So she was just kind of like a yes for any opportunity that came her way. She just happened to be standing in the line of coffee, and a guy comes to her and says, "God told me to sell you my building." No
You wanna know what my
dates.
quote is?
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Where your focus goes, your energy flows.
Where your focus goes, your energy flows.
Yes. And you can call it intention, you can call it goal, you can call it whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But there has to be clarity
And what you want.
about what you want. Because once you plant that seed,
Mhm.
you're going to begin attracting the very thing
Yeah.
that you are focused on, because that's where your energy is going to go.
Yeah.
Nothing else is going to get your energy, because that's not what I want.
Right.
But if you don't have any intentions, you don't have any goals, you don't have no
You
plan,
all
and
over
then
the
you're wondering
place.
why.
You all over the place.
You wonder why things aren't going the way you want them to. Well, how does the universe, how does God, again, you can call him whatever you want to call him, or her, call it what you want to call it. But how does the giver of all things going to give you something if you don't even know what it is you want?
And that is, I think, the baseline is knowing what it is that you want. Now, we can slow this down. We are very capable of slowing down what we want. And this is, when I say slowing down, I mean written the goal, or you wrote your intention and you actually know exactly what it is you want. But how is it that I slow it down? Because we are either A, doubting it, doubting ourselves, or we are focused on what's not working. Hyper focused on what's not working. And you have said this just in a previous cast, which is you get what you focus on, right? You getting, if the law of attraction works both ways. So you are either
Absolutely.
attracting what you do want, or you're attracting what you don't want, or better yet, you're attracting what you're focusing on. So if I'm focusing on the lack of, guess what I get more of? Lack of.
The lack of.
So
I,
go ahead.
yeah, life can be so simple,
Mhm.
but you rather make it hard, by Lauryn Hill. Like, it can all be so simple.
But you'd rather make it hard. Make it hard.
You rather make it hard.
Yeah.
And just to circle back to what you were saying, a lot of that is conditioning.
Mhm.
A lot of that is how we were brought up.
You got to suffer
A
for what you
lot of
want.
that
You got to suffer for that.
is you gotta. It's like there's a time in our life where we get to a place where we say, you know what, this thought, this process, this way of the way they used to do it,
Yeah.
this does not serve
Does
me.
not serve me. Like the freaking ham when they was cutting off the piece to put it in the oven, right? I got a bigger oven now. We don't have to cut that piece off no
You don't
more.
have to-
It was not serving us anymore.
Yes. It's let it go.
But here's the other thing, though. You
Like-
have to also question it, though. And I think that's something
do.
else that we're not doing, is we're not questioning, where did you get that from? Where did I get that belief from? We're not doing, we're just kind of like going on. Case in point, I live in the great state of Florida, right? Where
Low rider.
right? And when we came from New Jersey, which is very, very different on just the gun laws, right? It's night and day gun laws here. Where up there, you got to go through this process, you got to go get licensed, and you have a high probability that you won't get jacked. Down here, but when I got here, all you had to do is take a class and then your paperwork, boom, you got your license. As long as you ain't got no trouble pass, which my pass was a little checkered, but we got through it all.
Ooh, that's another podcast because do we have points?
I just threw that in there.
We need to
I just threw that.
another podcast. We're gonna get into the key of Coach Cal's checker pass because he's delivered now. Don't get it twisted. He's delivered. We'll get into the quote.
But my point is
What's
that
your
it's
point?
very different. But I also noticed that the rules of New Jersey or of that tri-state area also impacted the way we felt morally. So in other words,
Yeah.
we were conditioned to believe that gun ownership was like, when I came up, my mother was like, and now I'm switching to beepers, but like, there's only a few people that need beepers: police, firemen, and drug dealers. Right? Kind of same thing with guns, right? Police and drug dealers. They're the only ones that need guns, right? And so you don't need no gun, right? And so I noticed that was something that was easy for me to let go, especially when I found out that I actually was good at it, right? Like I actually had a natural talent from following the instructions that the instructor gave, and I was like hitting on target. Now, Patrice, on the other hand, let me just say this: people will get shot. It may not be the actual person that is the threat.
Listen, I do believe some people don't need it. Like, just let the Lord protect you.
Let the Lord protect you, right? So with that, I let that go pretty quickly, but it was harder for her. Like she felt like there was something wrong with having it on your person, even though I'm following the laws of Florida, right? Which was at the time was
I actually have that same social conditioning.
yeah.
I feel there's, like you said, certain people that carry guns, and there is this fear in my mind that comes with guns. And I don't even know where that comes from,
Yeah.
honestly.
And you grew up in Florida, in Georgia, so it's right. Like I think it's open carry there, and not only that, there's a city where it is illegal to not have a gun in your home.
Up the street, all homeowners are required to have a gun license. Up the street.
A gun license or a weapon in the home? Because this particular one,
I believe it's a gun. I believe it's a gun license. It could be further because, like I said, I
okay.
don't.
Right. I know you don't get down like that. There's one up there where
not-
you have to have one in your home. That it's illegal to not have one in your home. I'm pretty sure that the rate of home break-ins is probably very low in that city.
Very low. It is.
Because you just don't know what
It
you
is.
walking up on. So the thing is, it is just mind-blowing to me how laws that were made by men to control men and control classes, that those laws actually do have an impact on people's own view of what's ethical and what's moral.
Yeah. Because it's law, but we can go down the rabbit hole when it comes to legislation,
right,
and morality.
Yes,
those are two separate things, but somehow, some way, we intertwine.
We do that, right?
We do.
So going back to the checking of your own beliefs or what serves you, it's so many layers. Like even down to the law of the land can have an effect on the way you operate and whether or not the way you're operating is actually serving you or not.
And, another thing that I believe it takes, I always go back to fear and courage. I believe it takes a lot of courage to step outside of what you know or thought or were taught to be true
Mm-hmm.
and not even act on it, but begin to even challenge it
Yeah.
in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
That was my thing when it came to religion.
All
Oh, that
is that a separate
oh,
podcast?
that
Is that not a separate podcast all by itself? Is that not a separate cast all by itself?
it really is.
I'm going to
But religion
I
was
don't want to
one
interrupt.
thing.
I'm interrupting.
Yes.
Please finish your thought. Please.
Religion was one of those things that I began to question and challenge, but the war that was going on inside of me to quiet that down, like, how dare you?
How dare you?
Challenge your question. And I'm like, well, this don't make sense. How dare you? How dare you?
And now we have this
You-
internal struggle within yourself. Like, and to some degree, I almost feel like this is by design. Because there's so many things that are put in your place to keep you in check, keep you in line as a woman, keep you in line as a Black woman, keep you in line as a member of the society. And control is from church and state. From church and state, they want this. Like, I have seen pastors get upset when you have a question that goes against, like, they want you to be blind sheep. They want you to be sheep. They don't want you to be a shepherd and think for yourself. Don't mess around and tell them.
I love the way our brains are wired. 'Cause as you were talking, I was like, yeah, because most people sheep. And you started saying it. I was liking it.
They want you to be sheep. They want to be the shepherd. And don't mess around and tell them, like, oh, God called you to be a shepherd. Oh, no, he did not. Because you my sheep. Sheep don't turn into shepherds.
That's a whole nother. Have you read The Alchemist?
I have.
Great book on control in society
Yeah.
and sheep and herding. Like, great metaphorical illustration of how most people navigate and deal with lives. Like,
The Alchemist is one of the hottest books I read this year.
oh, you read it this year?
This year. Yeah.
Yeah. And The Four Agreements is another one.
I haven't read that one yet, but I have it. I haven't read it, but I do have it.
Put that on the read list.
Higher
It's up there with The Alchemist.
Okay. I'm going to take your
The
word
Four
for it
Agreements
then.
was there.
They're right there neck and neck. I think I have the audio. I don't think I have, like, the printed version of it. So, but The Alchemist was one of those things where I was, like, reading that thing through and through. I was like, this right here is just, actually, I listened to that one too. I did listen to that one. That was just a fantastic book. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if I were to say where it started in regards to challenging limiting beliefs, I would say there is a book that is called Decoding the Mind. It's by the guy who runs Mind Valley Vision.
Is it just called Decoding, or is it Decoding the Mind, or is it called just Decoding?
I think it's Decoding the Extraordinary Mind. I think it is. Ow. What is
okay.
Well, I'd have to look it up. I gotta learn to stop talking about books that I don't know the title of them before I get on the podcast. But I had no intentions of talking about this one. Oh, I'll mess up a quote in a heartbeat. Yep, I sure will. So,
but I think we've given the listeners
plenty.
Some good ones. We give them quotes. We gave them some good reads to take them into the new year. Some good strategies. If you had to give Really quickly, 3 things you can do to release things that don't serve you. What would they be? Go.
I need it again. I need the question again.
Give the listeners, the soul shifters, 3 things that they can do to release things that no longer serve them.
Question everything. Question everything. The minute you have a belief, is that belief, after I question it, I now got to ask, is it serving me or is it not serving me? And that's what, and I actually have the book. It is The Code of the Extraordinary Mind by Vision Lakhani. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he has a section there where he calls them rules, BRULES, bullshit rules. And you determine, is this a rule or is it not? Because there, again, we create rules all the time. Rules that people said we had to follow, and we create rules that no one ever said we had to follow that rule. It's just like, well, I made up. Next time this happens, this is what I'm going to do. Just made a rule.
And we never question it. We never question it. And like you said, question everything.
Question everything. I don't even think I have 3. Because if you question everything and then ask, is it serving you or not serving you? What else is there? Because once you determine that it is serving you, you can keep rolling into that until it no longer serves you. And then if it no longer serves you, well, now you have a choice to make. You can either keep rolling with it or you can set that aside. What else is there except question everything? And is that serving me or is it not serving me?
And to take action.
We'll make that number 3. Take action.
Take action. Take action. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Well,
that is good.
If you are questioning everything, even down to your thoughts around money, your thoughts around friendship, your thoughts around marriage, your thoughts about relationships, period. I remember having this one friend that was like, I guess she felt guilty because she had this thing about being single and then being friends with someone who's married. And even though this person is married, never hit on her, never did anything. And the friendship really did serve. Like, she got value out of that friendship. But that whole thing of I'm single, he's married, that type of thing was weighing on her, right? But eventually she let that go. Eventually she let that go.
The relationship or the thought?
The thought,
Okay.
the rule, because it never was anything more than what it presented itself to be. There was no hidden agenda there. And so as a result, had that friendship for a long time. And so question everything. Where did I get that from? Because going back to church, the mothers of the church will have you in a skirt wearing
to your ankles
and sleeves down to your wrist.
Your neck up to your neck. As if none of that stuff can be pulled up or brought down. Okay.
Again, though, I would offer up that back then it was probably necessary.
You think so?
Maybe I wasn't there.
It goes back to the control. How can we have control over things that we can't control?
Well, again,
But if you
church and state want control.
If you convince the subject that they need to be controlled, then and because no one's questioning anything, no one's really thinking for themselves.
Hey, again, it amazes me when people recognize, like, I came from a church that was pretty messed up. Let me just say that. It was pretty messed up. And there would be people that knew, like me, like if you are my pastor and you are doing
Mhm.
things that you preach against in the pulpit, I'm out. I'm just out
Yeah.
because like that's not serving me, you know? And so, and that also showed that there was a lot of work that I needed to do because I'm putting way too much faith in another person.
Yeah.
So there was
Yeah.
that's the other side of that same coin was I was putting too much faith in another person, but at the same time, I'm still out. And it would be amazing to me how people would stick around, although they knew good and well that that person is the problem.
Wow.
They're like, oh, well, I have to support my pastor. I have to do this with my pastor. And I'm like, really?
Do you?
Really? Really? You do? And but at the same time, you gotta do a rawism, right? Let them that's their life.
They life.
That's their life. They gotta
They
lead
life.
their life, you know? So hey, I know what I'm gonna do, but y'all
Yes.
do what y'all gonna do. So
Yes. Yes. And this is a conversation. This is something that, and I believe the beauty of soul shift sessions is an opportunity for us to present topics that sparks conversation.
yeah,
Because a lot of times you may not even be thinking about what's not serving you, even though it's not serving you. But
right.
these are opportunities to have conversations, to think deeper, to go deeper,
Just a chance to
to
contemplate.
have critical thinking
Yeah,
skills. Offer up from our stories
yeah,
to your story.
right.
How can we elevate and transform each other's lives to live our best
Yeah,
life? That's what this podcast is about. But ultimately, in the rawism of Be More Raw, is it's your life. It's
your
your
life.
life. But how can you or how do you release things that no longer serve you? I encourage you to put that in the comment section so we can begin to have the conversation, because maybe your perspective is totally different from ours, but we're open here. We're open
Yeah,
on Soul Shift.
yeah.
Like, I want to hear it all because a lot of times we don't know what we don't know.
Our stories are unique, but as a collective whole, there's similarities all throughout.
Yes,
So, but yet there's still things that you and I may not see because our experiences it hasn't illuminated that aspect. So this is why it's so important for you all to just share what your thoughts are because that expands the conversation.
absolutely. Our story matters. Our story empowers.
Yeah.
That was my empowerment chant from the Earth Angels.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because that exercise that we did at Speaking Right to Make Millions this year in LA with Lisa Nichols, that exercise, it was so deep, it was so visceral to like, I remember that chant without even thinking about it's as normal to me as brushing my teeth.
Mm,
It's so deep rooted in there because of the way
that
it
was
was
done.
planted.
Yeah.
It was in like it's in my soul.
Yeah. For me, it was the second go round. The second go now it's just
Yeah,
like
well,
I don't even have to like try to think about it because it just automatically comes up, you know? Um such a wonderful thing. All right, so I do have my quote. And
right.
I want to say
What's
this
your final words, Coach Cal?
this quote it might be an original or it may not. I don't know. It may be the original though.
Hence the soul shift shenanigans.
Yes.
Love it.
So the quote is more of a question, which is as it relates to things that make you feel bad. Why do you want to be right about that? You know,
Why do you want to
why do
be
you want to be
right?
right about that? How many times are we looking at the negative and talking and commenting on how bad things are. Why do you want to be right about that?
I don't know. Now, is this
I don't know.
is this rhetorical, or you want the soul shifters to answer that?
Let me tell you, if y'all want to verbally joust, if y'all want to have some linguistic,
Let's
what do
go.
we call that? What did you say? It was
Linguistic jousting.
linguistic jousting. If you want to have some linguistic jousting,
Let's
I'm here for it, because
Okay.
there are, and this is literally how I am, what I'm doing with myself and I'm doing with others, is when you tell me about, how bad things are or how upset you are about something or someone, and you're predicting about how bad things are going to be, why do you want to be right about that?
And with that, guys, we appreciate you tuning in to the Soul Shift Session podcast. Again, if you want to be a guest or if you want to join the tribe, please go to www.soulshiftsessions.com. If you know someone who needs a soul shift, please make sure you share our podcast in the internets, wherever you are, amongst family, friends. This is the gift that keeps on giving, and it's free. You can give this gift to a loved one for Christmas for free, and listen to it with your friends and family, and maybe that can spark a conversation amongst friends and family and loved ones. Truly appreciate you being here, and until next time, remember to always let your soul glow.